In this video, I want to share everything in a very simple way that I learned about strategy. So I got my doctorate in actually strategic leadership, so I have a ton of theory when it comes to strategy, but I also have worked with dozens and even up to 100 businesses to design their strategies and see what actually works in real life and what doesn't. And so in this video, I want to give you a step-by-step framework to design a winning strategy. Now, most books talk about the big corporations and how to craft a strategy for big corporations. But my focus has been small, medium-sized businesses over the years, and what works in big corporations is not really what works in small and medium-sized businesses. So my hope is that this is the only video that you've ever have to watch on strategy, because it is not so much about learning more about strategy as it is about learning how to become a strategic thinker so that you can implement your strategy in your everyday business. So why strategic thinking is the new superpower in a world that won't stop changing. That's kind of my thesis that I want to unpack, and this video will be a little bit longer. Now stay till the end, because I'm going to give you this whole framework that I'm going to walk you through here. Plus at the end, I'm actually going to give you a very powerful thinking tool that you can use every time you want to work on one aspect of your strategy in your business. Now, in the early days of any business, my experience is that hustle is non-negotiable. Okay, we need to make it happen. You grind, okay, you wear every hat, you push through long days and nights. Now that first phase is about effort and doing whatever it takes to get it off the ground, land customers. Sometimes you even promise something that you don't even know how to deliver because you are in that first phase of your business. It's all about starting and creating leverage. Okay, but the danger here is, okay, there's a real danger. Too many founders never move beyond that phase. And that becomes a golden prison. Even if the cash flow is there, even if you are making money, all of a sudden you are stuck at this level, always pushing harder, always running faster without realizing that what got them there won't get them to the next level. So that's what we really have to understand. Now, what got you here, maybe your hustle, your hard work, will not get you to the next level, because the difference between businesses that plateau and businesses that truly thrive, scale, and grow, it comes down to strategy. It comes down to strategy. Now, there is a Harvard Business Review survey of 10,000 leaders showed that 97% ranked strategic thinking as the #1 most important leadership behavior. If you want to become a great leader, not just a good leader, but a great business leader, you have to learn the art and science of strategic thinking. Now, back in the day, you could basically map out a 5-year strategy and feel like secure. You feel like you've done your work. You've put in the weekend. You maybe went off with your team and worked on a strategic plan, and you thought it's done. Now, markets moved slowly back then. Competitors were predictable. Technology didn't reinvent itself overnight. Now, here's the truth. That world is gone. Today, the pace of change is relentless, and we feel it. We get anxious about it. What was stable for years now shifts in months, sometimes even in weeks, and sometimes it feels like days. That's why having a strategy, a strategy is not enough. You have to become a master of strategy, able to design it, adapt it, and apply it again and again. You have to become the master. You really have to learn how to think strategically, becoming a strategic thinker. And here's the key. You can't just react by doing more of the same, more hours, more hustle, more of what already worked. That's not strategy. Basically, that is survival. Now, strategy means something different. It means that you are still reacting to what's happening, but through clarity and not chaos. How often are we reacting through chaos and not clarity? It means adapting through foresight and not fatigue. We're not getting fatigued. It's actually we are reacting through foresight. It means building a system where your next move isn't guesswork, but you actually design. You almost become like a chess player, okay? And you're moving, you're thinking maybe two steps ahead, 2 moves ahead. When you're getting better in strategic thinking, you're becoming a chess player who can think 3 moves ahead, up to 5 moves ahead, even sometimes even more. Okay, this is what this framework is about, to help you shift from endless reacting to building a strategy that actually wins today, tomorrow, and in the future. Okay, now here is another thing that is really important to me. Is strategy means slowing down before you speed up. So you can at some point still speed up, but you first slow down. One of the hardest lessons for entrepreneurs is to accept this. Strategy requires to first slow down. Now, not forever, but and not as an excuse for procrastination. That's not what I'm talking about, but long enough to think, design, and act with intention. Now, at first sight, this feels uncomfortable, almost in some contexts risky, because you maybe watch competitors sprinting ahead, announcing new products, raising capital, blitzscaling their teams, and you wonder, am I moving too slow? Will I be left behind? But that fear is actually, in most cases, a myth. Because the faster you chase success, the slower it seems to arrive. This has been a principle in observing a lot of very, very successful businesses. That if you chase success too quickly, it seems that it is slower in actually arriving. Now, most founders think that speed is the secret. Work long hours, launch faster, scale harder, but the reality tells a different story. The businesses most obsessed with blitz scaling often burn out before they break through. From the outside, it looks like momentum. Inside, it feels like drowning. Now, why this actually backfires? Now, when you rush, you don't just move faster, you actually create shortcuts. Okay, and shortcuts don't disappear, they compound into bigger problems down the road. Okay, we've all been there. You are in a panic, you need more help, you are hiring in a panic, and the result is you spend months fixing cultural misfits. You ship half-baked products and then waste years patching bugs because of the products that weren't ready. You sign clients you shouldn't, and then you burn weeks trying to repair that relationship, or everybody's frustrated on your team because that client is just not a fit for your business. Now, every shortcut feels like progress in the moment. Okay, let's be clear on it. It feels like progress, but each one plants seeds, and those seeds don't grow into results. They grow into weeds that choke your future. Now, there's a different race, okay? Here is the truth. Unless you are in a genuine winner-takes-all market, okay? Think of Amazon in the early days, where it was about who is going to be the leading platform for online shopping. The game isn't about being first. It's about staying in long enough so you actually matter. Think of it like a marathon. The sprinter who explodes out of the gate collapses maybe before mile 10. Now, the one who paces, breathes, and builds rhythms, they are still running when others drop. Now, most markets have space for more than one winner. Okay, the real question isn't how fast can you get there. It is, will you still be around when the dust settles? Will you still be around when the dust settles? So the point is, the real race isn't about being the fastest. It's about endurance, clarity, and consistency. It's about being intentional in your move so you are still standing when others burn out. Now, if you learn to slow down before you speed up, to design strategy before you act, you eventually discover something profound. Okay, and here's the thing. The slow way was always the fast way, all along. Now here, I'm still, if you know me, if you work with me or for me, urgency still matters. You can still bring urgency to the game, but only after you have thought slowly and deeply about what to do next. This is key. You can bring urgency to the game. You can still push your team, but do it after you thought slowly and deeply about what to do next. Now that's why becoming a strategic thinker is non-negotiable. It is a skill we all need to learn. Now, strategy is everywhere. Working on your business, okay, now I'm known for helping businesses to build self-managing businesses so that you are not in the daily operations anymore, but you work on the business rather than in the business, so that you are not the bottleneck or the constraint in the business. Now, a lot of the time, the question that I get, what do I do if I'm not doing the operations, if I'm not working in the business, what am I doing? And the answer is you are actually working on this most important piece of your business, and that is the strategy. You are basically stepping into the role of a strategist. You don't need to tackle every area at once. Usually there's one main constraint, one bottleneck that holds everything else back in that moment, okay? So you want to look at where's maybe the fire in your organ, where do you have to work as a firefighter, and where basically are flames you have to put out. But basically you are walking into that situation with a mindset of an inspector, a fire inspector. So you put out the fire, yes, but you also redesign the system so it doesn't happen again. And that's how you build something sustainable. Now, here's just a list, and when you get the document, again, you can get it for free. There's a link somewhere beneath this video, but basically there's marketing strategy and marketing strategy. You can break down to social media strategy, offline, online strategy, sales strategy, onboarding, fulfillment, hiring, management, upsells, referrals, product, meeting, pricing, retention, profitability, brand and positioning, expansion, AI strategy. And that's just basically a taste of all the different strategies that make up that machine called your business, and you want to design that machine through the right strategy. So I want to give you a definition of what strategic thinking is and how you actually walk through a process when you are working on a certain strategy. Okay, so you pick one. Maybe there's one aspect in your business right now that is the biggest bottleneck or the biggest constraint, and you're saying, you know what, we need a hire, and so we're going to work on a hiring strategy. Or you have enough leads coming in, but you're not converting these leads, so you have to work on a sales strategy. So you can pick any one, but basically this is the process, this is the definition, and that's my personal definition that I've kind of compiled after working on reading many books on strategy, but also working with dozens and hundreds of businesses basically working on this idea. So strategic thinking means, number one, and we're going to walk you through this definition, but again, when you have this document, kind of read slowly through this again. The first thing you want to do is define your current reality. That's the first step of actually working on a strategy. Okay, defining your core reality. Before you design the path forward, you need to know exactly where are you, what's working, what's not working, how is your team kind of implementing already what you're doing in that in that category. What's the competitors? What's the environment? All these questions. You want to know your what reality is. Basically, Max de Pree put it very well. The first responsibility of a leader is to define reality. You need to define reality. That's the foundation of the strategic thinking. So that's number one. Number two is, after you've defined reality, clearly articulate where you want to end up. That's step number two. You want to articulate where you want to end up. Okay, so this is number two. Where do you want to end up? Without a destination, any road will do. But in business, drifting costs money and energy. And basically, you need to know what is your dream outcome in this category of strategy that you work. When you work in sales or in hiring, what is your dream outcome? Define it and really articulate it well. You know, the goal properly set is half reached. So you want to be specific in not just what is the reality, but where are you going. Number three, basically in the definition, is map then out the smartest path to get there. So this is where really strategic thinking comes in. So you know what the reality is, you know where you want to end up, and now it's like, okay, now what is the map? How do we get there? What strategies do we need to implement basically to get from point A to point B? So mapping out the smartest path to get there. Outline the smartest path forward by focusing only on what will truly move you towards your goal. Identify the leverage points, okay, the few moves that create the biggest results to get you from point A to point B. Okay, a goal without a plan is just a wish. So you need to understand what is your map. And now number 4, and I feel like it's the most important piece of this whole idea of strategic thinking, of working on a strategy, and that is committing to massive action that is required. Commit to massive action that is required. Okay, so here's number 4, commit to massive action. The best plan dies without execution. I've seen how we created great strategies where people paid a lot of money to actually come up with an amazing strategy, but it did not work, not because the strategy was the problem, but because there was no implementation, there was no massive action that actually was then implemented, because every strategy that wants you to get from point A to point B includes massive action. So you really have to think through what do you need to commit to when it comes to really implementing the strategy. I love former CEO of McKinsey, Fred Kluck, who said strategy is execution. If you miss out, if you leave out this idea of execution, it's not gonna work. And then number 5, the 5th part of the definition is while adapting along the way to changing circumstances. Okay, so things are changing so quickly, and you need to basically be able to walk through adapting along the way because things are changing. Jack Welch said, change before you have to. We will all have to change because of the circumstances that are changing, and true leaders who move things change before they have to, so that they get to change. Okay, so that's basically the definition. Quickly, I want to just mention 3 common mistakes in strategy, and then give you basically an overview of a simple worksheet that you can use as a thinking tool every time you want to work on your business strategy or one aspect of your business strategy. Number 1, a big mistake is not taking time to work on your strategy. Okay, this is maybe number 1, the most important piece. That we are so busy, everything is urgent, we're so much in the day-to-day operations, we are the bottleneck in our organization. That's why I'm such a big believer in building a self-managing business, and we can help you with that if you're interested. But actually it's really strategically working in a way so that you don't have to be there in the day-to-day operations, so that you actually have time to work on your strategy, because nobody else will do that in your business. It's your responsibility. And most of the time, 90% of our time is inside of the business, rather than working on this business, designing, really being the architect. So you are the architect, not the firefighter, so to speak, or that's where you want to end up. The second mistake is not including user feedback early on. Now, I have a longer story there, but I'm just going to hint at it. Many years ago, I actually was part of a team, co-led it together with Michael Hübel, the Impact Week, the first Impact Week. This Impact Week actually became a movement which kind of for teams to go to universities, especially in the developing country, and teach design thinking to come up with new business ideas to solve problems in the specific country or area. And so one aspect of the design thinking is that the first day basically you brainstorm, what are trends in your country, and then basically what are business solutions, and you prototype already kind of what would be the solution look like. What could the solution, the product you want to sell look like to take care of a certain aspect. And so we were in Kenya, Africa, together, and already on day 3 we sent these people out to actually to kind of get user feedback from customers. So they went onto the street and asked people, with their simple design prototype that they maybe just had on paper or had as a presentation, or even sometimes kind of as something that they made with their own hands, how you would experience this product. And they already incorporate that user feedback into their product, which made every product much better, which gave immediately better strategy to what they wanted to do. So get feedback from users. Now, this one is changing your strategy too late. In investing, there is something called the sunk cost fallacy, and basically the idea is that if you've invested into a stock and the stock goes down, you're holding on to because you already invested into it, and you're not ready to cut your loss and just move on. Sometimes you even invest more money back into it because you want to regain your money that you lost, and so you're holding on. And something like this can happen with strategy as well. You've designed your strategy and you're so in love with your strategy that you're not willing to change quickly enough because you basically think that then everything was in vain. And then the last thing I want to say is changing strategy too soon. This, on the flip side, can also be a problem with strategy, is that every time we hear something new, we're telling our team, now attack this, now let's go there this way. And we can't always, and we never give enough time in the operations to actually build the foundation, build the system, the playbooks, and map out everything so that we are not needed in order to firefight. And if you're changing too quickly your strategy all of the time, you're always firefighting and you're never going to get out of that. So let's get practical. That's what I want to leave you with. Again, I know this was a lot of content, and I hope you're going to read through this, but the promise was that this is the only video on strategy that you need to watch and make it as practical as possible. Now there is basically this worksheet. So if you download this document, at the end you will basically see that there is a link that gets you to this document, which is a thinking tool which walks you through 9 different questions every time you want to work on one aspect of your strategy. And the first part is working on your strategy game plan, and you're walking through 5 questions. Okay, and the questions are: where are we now? So that's the reality questions. Where do you want to go? That's kind of the future pacing questions. This is the how do we get there? How do we map it out? And then what massive action is really needed to get there. And then also thinking through what resources, people, budget, systems, tools, what need to be in place for this to actually work. So thinking through this, and this is very simple, really will help you actually get a strategy that can work. And then the second part is actually working on a strategy scorecard. There are 4 questions. What specific results will prove this strategy actually works? So you are thinking through, okay, what are the indicators that this will work? What are the leading indicators that will show we are on the right path? Okay, so what kind of things, signs are you going to look for so that you know, okay, this is working? And the same is true. What will basically are the indicators that it's not working? How will I know early that this strategy needs to change? What are the things you don't want to see as a result? And then how often will I review and adjust this strategy so that you already can say, okay, I'm going to give this a fair try, or 4 weeks. By the way, I'm a big believer in strategy sprints, saying, for 1 month or for 3 months, we're going to work on this strategy and from this aspect, and then we will review and adjust. Okay, so this is basically the tool that we have put together. If you are wanting, you can basically download that. So this is beneath this video is a link that you can just click, and then you can get access to the designing the winning strategy kind of framework, and part of it is this worksheet that you can use every time you basically want to work on one aspect of your strategy. If you are interested in learning more about self-managing business, there's actually a masterclass that you can also watch on the channel. But I really hope that you're not just going to watch this, you're going to really download it, read through this again, and then apply it to your situation. And I will see you in the next video.